Hey folks, I'm back with another track guide. Today we are at Okayama full course in the Global Mazda MX-5. It's fixed setup, I haven't moved the brake bias. The weather conditions are correct for this week of racing and we're on full race fuel as always. I hope you have a really good week of racing here this week. Not my best lap here so far, but I'll update the Ghost car if it gets any better. Have a really good one. Let us know how you're getting on in the comments below. And if I don't see you before, hopefully I'll see you out there on the track. Cheers. Okay guys, so here we go with my 1 minute 45.308 here at Okayama full course in the Global Mazda MX-5. Fixed everything, the weather's right, the car's right, there's no brake bias change. We've got full race fuel. And we're heading down to turn 1 and we can see here we've got these skid marks right in front of us. We're braking right on them just as we start to cross them. You might want to brake just before, but the idea is we want to keep the car on the outside of the track initially. A lot of people will tend to sort of float in towards the inside of the track at this point. Keep it wide. And we're down, and now we're starting to turn in as we're coming out of the brakes. We're down to second, and we're basically parallel with the apex of the corner here. So I've started full steering. We're building up the accelerator before we hit the curb. We don't want to go too far out wide. Going out is absolutely fine, but we do need to get ourselves back over again really quickly. We want to get up to third, and then just before this green curb starts on the right hand side, we're going to drop the throttle and we're going to apply the smallest a bit of brake as we're turning in. So we're just brushing the brakes super lightly. The car's really rotated to the inside of the curb and we're already on the accelerator before we hit it. We have built the accelerator quite gently, but you'll notice if you look really carefully on the grass, there's a little bit of extra surface. It's a little bit slightly different texture. So you can go over onto the grass, just the smallest bit. There's a couple of corners like this here. So you can get really, really tight and it doesn't get slick like grass. It doesn't give you an off track. Obviously it will if you go too far. And the same on exit here. I actually get my back wheel on the dirt here and it's absolutely fine. You can just creep onto the dirt a little bit. If you do just creep on a bit, it doesn't slow you down and obviously you don't get an off track. So we just straight line through this little S section and then we're looking at the dirt coming up on the left hand side of the track. And then as this section starts, just before the skid marks start in the distance, we're going to brake heavily on the left hand side of the track here. Again, we're coming down to second gear. And then as we're coming out of the brakes, just as we're starting to reach the apex, we're really coming out of the brakes. We're starting to increase the steering angle in the car. And we can see this patch of sandy dirt on the inside of the apex there. That's really our target. That's our apex point. That's our closest point to the curb there. So you can really use that as a good reference on approach. And we don't want the car to float out wide here. We actually want to keep it quite tight to the inside. Just going out to the outside there, it's just going to make our route longer. And it's not like we're really having to heave the wheel and scrub the tyres there. So keeping it tight is going to shorten that route onto the straight. And we're powering down to the slowest corner on the track. We're going to get ourselves down to first gear down at the end here. So we're looking at the boards. We've got the 100 board, and then after the 100 board, before the 50 board and the Marshall Tower, we're going to start our braking super heavily all the way down to first gear. We're going to pump that throttle when we go down to first. If we don't do that, the back end's going to get really loose. And you'll see we're about to start releasing the brakes. And as we release, that's when we increase our steering angle. And then we're already on the throttle at mid-corner. And you can really put your foot down here. There's a lot of camber in the track. There's a lot of grip there. So the car will stick. And then again, we need to throw the car over to the right, up to second gear. And then just as this dirt patch starts on the right hand side of the track, you'll notice as well that the white line on the outside of the track goes from sort of quite clean and bright to quite dim and dirty. We're going to release the throttle, a little bit of brake, and gently turn the car in. And what we want to do is use that rotation while you're braking and gently, really gently turning the wheel. That's going to start the car to rotate. So don't continue turning the wheel after that. It's just going to do it for you. And then back on the gas on the curb. We can use all of this outside of the track, leading up to that outside bit of curb. And as we reach the end of that curb, we're going to do some really light brush braking again. We're going to turn in at the end of the curb. So we're out the throttle, a little bit of braking. And then again, we've got this extra bit of surface just on the inside of the curb there that we can use. And you're not going to get the off track as long as you don't go too far onto it. But it really helps get us power around this corner and get on the gas really nice and early and use all the exit. It's a tough corner, that, surprisingly tricky. So after the 50 board on the right hand side, we're going to weigh the anchors and we're going to turn in quite quickly. It's a very tight corner, this. Again, we're down to first, so we need to pump the throttle. We need to blip it, but you can get your foot back down again quite quickly. And then as we're approaching this corner, a lot of people tend to leave it really late to brake here. But what we want to do is just do a little bit of light early braking as we're rotating the car. And then we can really hit the apex at a quick speed here. And build up the throttle again quite gently. We don't want to over-rotate the steering wheel around that corner. It's going to cause us to fall off the track. And then after the marshal's hut, we gently turn the car in. We don't want to catch the inside of this curb. It's going to bounce the car. But as we leave the end of this green curbing on the left-hand side and the dirty patch starts, that's our braking marker and our turn in. And we're going to come down to second and tip the car in. Really gentle rotation after that initial braking zone. And then once we're at the apex, we can really toss the car in, put the foot down. It's all about carrying as much speed as possible around that corner. So when you're practicing, just work on braking a little bit less, and see quite how much speed you can carry around that corner. All right, guys, that concludes my 1 minute 45.308 here. There's definitely a couple of tenths on there. I think I could probably just about hit a 44.9 or something like that. Time was tight this week. I was away doing birthday things last week, so it was a bit of a hectic time, so I've been limited on track time over the last few days. But best of luck to you. Let us know how you're getting on in the comments. If you like it, please do give it a like. If you want to see more of this stuff, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell, and you'll get notified every time a track guide goes or a live stream starts. Have fun, guys. I'll see you next time. Cheers.